Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in every person's life when they must decide who controls their inner world. Not society, not critics, not the ones who doubt, question, or discourage. The decision must be made by you, the master of your thoughts, the guardian of your mind, the architect of your destiny. If you desire to never be bothered by anyone again, the first secret is this: control your thoughts, and you control your peace. Every irritation, every insult, every attempt to disturb you gains its power only through your reaction. When you withdraw that reaction, the disturbance dies instantly. The moment you command your mind, the outside world loses its grip on you. The second secret is to raise your standards. People treat you according to what you allow. When you establish a firm identity, when you decide what you will accept and what you will reject, you become immune to the petty opinions that once shook you. A person who knows their purpose cannot be distracted by someone who doesn't understand it. Third, understand this truth: no one can disturb your peace unless you hand them the keys to it. Your emotions are not public property. They are not gifts to be distributed to every passerby. Guard them, protect them, respond only when it serves your growth. Fourth, choose your environment with intention. You are shaped by the conversations you entertain, the attitudes you witness, and the energy you permit into your life. If you surround yourself with chaos, you will become chaotic. If you surround yourself with strength, you will become unshakable. Peace is not found. It is created by the environments you choose. And finally, the greatest secret of all: develop unshakable confidence. Confidence is silent armor. It repels negativity without confrontation. It silences critics without argument. It allows you to walk into any room and remain unaffected by any voice that seeks to diminish your worth. When you know who you are, no one can convince you otherwise. So I urge you today, decide to take ownership of your mind, your emotions, your standards, and your surroundings. Decide to become a person who moves with purpose, thinks with clarity, and acts with unwavering confidence. When you do, the trivial voices fade. The negativity dissolves. The world transforms, not because the people changed, but because you did. Master your mindset, and you master the world within you, a world far more powerful than anything happening around you. When people talk about becoming untouchable, unshakable, or immune to the negativity of others, they often look outward, searching for strategies to control or avoid difficult people. But the real transformation begins inside, long before anyone has a chance to influence how you feel. Mastering your mindset is not about ignoring reality or pretending obstacles do not exist. It is about developing the internal strength to face life with clarity, purpose, and emotional independence. It is the deliberate decision to become the kind of person who cannot be rattled, distracted, or controlled by external forces. Your mindset is the gatekeeper of every experience you allow into your life. Two people can face the same situation: criticism, setbacks, rejection, and one will crumble while the other will rise. The difference is not luck, intelligence, or talent. It is the internal dialogue that shapes how you interpret events. When you master your mindset, you stop reacting out of fear or insecurity and start responding with intention. You choose what thoughts to feed and which to starve. The moment you recognize that every thought is either building your strength or weakening your resolve, you begin to treat your mind as the most valuable property you own. Most people let their minds run on autopilot. They let old fears, memories, and outside opinions dictate their emotional state. They live in reaction mode, always responding to what others say or do. But a mastered mindset does not react. It directs. It creates. It decides. When you train your mind to operate from purpose instead of emotion, you become untouchable. Someone can insult you, and instead of feeling wounded, you see the insult for what it truly is, a reflection of their own inner struggle, not yours. Someone can doubt you, and instead of shrinking, you become fueled by conviction. Someone can try to influence your decisions, but your clarity stands firm because you are no longer seeking approval from the outside world. Mastering your mindset also means disciplining what you focus on. Attention is the most powerful tool you possess, and whatever you focus on expands. If you constantly think about the people who bother you, you give them more power than they deserve. But if you focus on your goals, your values, and the person you are becoming, the noise of others fades naturally. Your mind becomes aligned with growth, and anything that does not contribute to that growth becomes irrelevant. You cannot be bothered by what you do not prioritize. A strong mindset is built intentionally. It requires daily practice, not occasional inspiration. You must learn to challenge negative thoughts the moment they appear. You must replace doubt with determination, fear with faith in your abilities, and insecurity with a deep sense of self-worth. You must remind yourself that your mind is not a dumping ground for the opinions of others, but a sanctuary for ideas that elevate and empower you. This kind of mental discipline transforms how you experience life. You stop catastrophizing. You stop assuming the worst. You stop letting temporary emotions create permanent decisions. You become calm, grounded, and centered, regardless of what is happening around you. When you master your mindset, you also master your interpretation of adversity. Instead of seeing difficulties as threats, you see them as opportunities to grow. Instead of seeing rejection as a personal attack, you see it as redirection. Instead of seeing criticism as discouragement, you evaluate it impartially. Is there something valuable here? If yes, you learn from it. If no, you discard it. In both cases, you remain in control. No one can shake you because you have learned to separate your identity from outside judgments. You stop internalizing negativity, and as a result, you stop suffering unnecessarily. This kind of mindset creates a powerful side effect. People stop bothering you because you no longer respond in the way they expect. Negativity loses its target. Manipulation loses its hold. Drama loses its audience. You become the kind of person who radiates a calm, quiet confidence, someone who cannot be thrown off center. People sense this strength and instinctively respect it. Some may even attempt to break it, but you will find that their attempts fall flat because your mind no longer absorbs their energy. Ultimately, mastering your mindset is the foundation of unbothered living. It is not about building walls, but about building wisdom. It is not about avoiding people, but understanding them. It is not about pretending to be strong, but becoming strong from the inside out. When you reach this level of mental mastery, you do not need to prove yourself to anyone, defend yourself against anyone, or fear anyone. You understand that peace is not given. It is created and protected by the person who values it. Raise your personal standards, and your entire life will begin to transform in ways that feel almost miraculous. People often try to change their circumstances without first changing themselves. But real power comes from raising the expectations you hold for your own behavior, your environment, and the way you allow others to treat you. Your standards act like a silent blueprint. They determine what you tolerate, what you reject, and what you pursue. When you elevate that blueprint, your life must rise with it. Nothing improves until you demand improvement from yourself. Most people drift through life with standards set by the world around them. They accept disrespect because they think it's normal. They settle for mediocrity because it's what everyone else is doing. They allow others to influence their mood, their decisions, and even their dreams because they haven't defined what they truly deserve. But the moment you raise your standards, you stop living by default and start living by design. You begin to choose who enters your life instead of letting anyone walk in. You choose what energy you allow instead of absorbing everything around you. You choose your reactions instead of being controlled by circumstances. Raising your standards means you no longer settle for what is easy. You commit to what is right for your growth. It means you refuse to accept excuses from others and especially from yourself. You stop saying, "This is just how I am," and start saying, "This is who I will become." You stop tolerating behaviors that drain your energy, whether they come from within or from others. You hold yourself accountable, not out of guilt, but out of respect for the person you are capable of being. High standards do not restrict you. They free you from the patterns that keep you small. When you elevate your standards, an interesting thing happens. The wrong people naturally fall away. Those who relied on your low boundaries, those who thrived on your silence, your lack of confidence, your willingness to put yourself last, will become uncomfortable. They may accuse you of changing, and they will be right. You are changing. You are rising. and not everyone can rise with you, but this is not loss, it is cleansing. It is the natural shedding of what can't survive at a higher altitude. When you stop tolerating disrespect, disrespectful people disappear. When you stop dimming your light, people who fear brightness step back. Your elevated standards act like a filter that removes what does not belong. Raising your standards also means making vows to yourself. Vows that you protect with consistency. You decide what kind of person you will be, and you hold yourself to that vision even when it is inconvenient. If you promise yourself that you will respect your time, you stop giving it away to anyone who asks. If you promise yourself that you will speak with confidence, you stop apologizing for your existence. If you promise yourself that you will pursue excellence, you stop accepting half-hearted effort from yourself. These vows shape the identity that ultimately shapes your destiny. But raising your standards is not only about distancing yourself from what is harmful, it is also about reaching for what is greater. It is about believing that you deserve more, not from a place of entitlement, but from a place of self-worth. You start expecting more from your relationships, not in terms of perfection, but in terms of mutual respect, support, and trust. You start expecting more from your work, your goals, and your daily habits. You stop being surprised by success and start preparing for it. You start living as the person your goals require. And as you elevate your standards, the quality of your life cannot help but elevate with them. The beautiful thing about high standards is that they radiate outward. They influence how people view you and how they respond to you. When you carry yourself with dignity, others feel it. When you speak with conviction, others listen. When you treat yourself with value, others follow your example. People know where to place you because your standards show them. You no longer need to argue for your worth, defend your boundaries, or explain your decisions. Your behavior becomes your declaration. Your standards become your reputation. Raising your standards also makes life simpler, not harder. Where low standards create confusion, because you accept everything and question everything, high standards create clarity. You instantly know what aligns with you and what does not. You know who belongs in your life and who doesn't. You know which opportunities deserve your attention and which are distractions. You no longer waste time debating your value or justifying your choices. Your standards make the decisions for you, and perhaps the greatest gift of raising your standards is the sense of peace it brings. When you expect more from yourself and your life, you stop being shaken by the opinions and actions of others. You stop allowing people into your world who disrupt your stability. You stop tolerating behaviors that steal your joy. Peace becomes non-negotiable. Self-respect becomes automatic. Strength becomes natural, and you become the type of person who is not easily bothered, manipulated, or influenced. Control your emotional response, and you gain mastery over one of the most powerful forces in your life. Most people believe their emotions are automatic, something that happens to them rather than something they can direct. They feel attacked and immediately become defensive. They feel dismissed and instantly shrink. They feel criticized and automatically take it personally. But the truth is this: your emotions are messages, not commands. They signal what you feel, but they do not dictate how you must act. The moment you learn to pause, interpret, and choose your response, you step into a level of power that few ever reach. Emotional control is not about suppressing your feelings or pretending they don't exist. It is about understanding them, observing them with awareness instead of letting them explode without guidance. When someone tries to provoke you, your first reaction may be irritation or anger, but your power lies in what you do after that first spark. Do you let it burn uncontrollably, or do you contain it, understand it, and redirect it? A person who can manage the moment between stimulus and response becomes unshakable. They move with intention instead of impulse. Their peace cannot be stolen because their reactions are not for sale. The world is full of people who want to trigger you, manipulate you, or pull you into their chaos. Some do it knowingly, others unintentionally. But the only thing they can truly control is the first moment, the moment they throw their negativity your way. Every moment after that belongs entirely to you. If you allow their words or actions to dictate your emotional state, you hand them power over your inner world. But when you choose your response intentionally, you reclaim that power instantly. You make a silent statement: you do not control me. I control me. Controlling your emotional response requires self-awareness. You must learn to see yourself clearly in the heat of the moment. Notice when your heart speeds up, when your thoughts begin to race, when your breath becomes shallow. These are not signs of weakness. These are signs that your body is preparing to react. Your job is to recognize these signals and slow everything down. Breathe, pause, think before you respond. This small gap between emotion and action is where your strength lives. It is the place where wisdom replaces impulse, where calm replaces chaos, where growth replaces regret. One of the most powerful aspects of emotional control is understanding that not everything deserves your reaction. Some comments are meant to provoke, not enlighten. Some people speak from their own pain, not from clarity. Some situations are temporary and do not deserve a permanent emotional investment. When you discipline yourself to choose which battles to engage in, you conserve your energy for what truly matters. You stop fighting unnecessary wars. You stop being pulled into arguments that lead nowhere. You stop reacting to every offense as if it threatens your identity. When you control your emotional response, you also break the cycle of giving others the satisfaction of seeing you upset. Many people rely on emotional reactions to feel powerful themselves. They poke, prod, and pressure because they want to see you break. The moment you stay calm in situations where others expect you to explode, you change the dynamic entirely. You become unpredictable in the best way, someone who cannot be controlled through emotional manipulation. Your calm becomes a shield that frustrates those who try to disturb your peace. Emotional control also builds respect, both from others and from yourself. People trust those who can stay composed under pressure, who do not crumble in the face of discomfort, who do not lash out impulsively. They see you as stable, dependable, and strong. But more importantly, you begin to respect yourself more deeply. You no longer look back on situations wishing you had responded differently. You no longer regret your words, your tone, or your reactions. You feel proud of yourself because you handled things with clarity and maturity. Over time, controlling your emotional response shapes your identity. You become someone who thinks before speaking, someone who evaluates situations objectively, someone who chooses reason over reaction. And this identity becomes a source of confidence. You trust yourself in challenging situations because you know you will not betray your own peace. You know you are capable of calm even when others lose control. This level of inner strength makes you nearly impossible to disturb. It's important to remember that controlling your emotional response is not a one-time decision. It is a lifelong practice. You will not always get it right. There will be moments when you slip, when emotions flare before you can catch them. But every time you practice awareness, every time you pause before reacting, every time you choose calm over chaos, you strengthen the muscle of emotional discipline. And like any muscle, it grows through consistent, repeated effort. Eventually, you reach a point where emotional control becomes natural. You do not have to force yourself to stay calm. You simply are calm. You do not have to remind yourself not to take things personally. You simply understand what is yours to carry and what is not. You do not have to fight the impulse to react. You have trained your mind so well that your default is composed strength. Controlling your emotional response is one of the greatest advantages you can ever develop because it places you in command of the only world you truly own, your inner world. The majority of people move through life governed by automatic reactions. They feel something and instantly act on it without questioning whether that emotion deserves expression. They allow anger to speak for them, fear to shrink them, and insecurity to distort their judgment. Yet the moment you learn to pause, analyze, and choose your response instead of surrendering to raw impulse, you elevate yourself above the chaos that controls so many lives. Your emotions are signals, not instructions. They are meant to inform you, not dominate you. When someone criticizes you, the initial sting you feel is simply your mind alerting you to something unexpected. When someone disrespects you, the spark of anger that fires within you is a signal, not a command to explode. When life presents inconvenience or frustration, the irritation that arises is a natural human reaction. But what happens after that initial reaction is where your true power lies. The person who can recognize the emotion, understand its origin, and respond with intention instead of